Welcome along to episode 22 of the Strategy and Conversions podcast. I'm Jamie Michael Joseph, and as always, I'm joined by Mark Tanner. Mark, tell us what we're going to be talking about today in episode 22.
Episode 22, right. Well, September is upon us. It is tomorrow. Is it September the 1st? It's August 31st, isn't it? Today?
I mean, we're recording this on August the 31st, but I think it's going to be the 2nd of September when this comes out. So we're really timely. You know,
so
you're
we're
already into September when you're listening.
And we're going to talk about how to really drive momentum for the last third of the year. But if you think about it, it is the last third of the year, but really in my mind, it's the last quarter, because December is always can be a bit of a non-event. You know, lots of things happening and lots of people losing interest in any kind of business. So September, October, November are really 3 months of the year when we can use to really drive business forward and finish off on a high, ready for 2022.
Yeah, totally. I think September is always that month where, you know, you usually come out of the summer. People have been away on holiday and stuff like that. You know, people have been quite relaxed because we've actually had some nice weather in the UK, although this year, you know, August has been horrible. But usually, you know, everyone's been quite relaxed, and then they come back September and it's all systems go and they're ready to get back into business.
Yeah.
And I actually feel like this year, I feel like that is going to be extra. I feel like there's going to be even more, because I think obviously all the kind of past 18 months and different lockdowns and, you know, things opening back up, and we've had the summer, is I feel like people are going to go, for one, that we need to get back to normal.
Yeah.
You know, 2, we need to make up for lost time. And 3, we need to protect ourselves in case something happens again.
Yeah. Because who knows? I mean, I read somewhere today that they discovered yet a new variant, I think somewhere in South Africa or somewhere. I don't know. I'm just thinking, well, it's going to carry on going, isn't it?
We'll be on episode 300 talking about another variant, I reckon. It is that way. I think it is one of those things that it's here. It's here, and it's something that we're going to live with. You know, the same as the flu and stuff like that. I think the only issue really that is going to impact us in business is that if another lockdown comes along. Yeah, you know, and you know, who knows when or if that will be. But the point is that, look, you have the opportunity now. So even though we're talking about September and getting back into things, it's not necessarily talking about having a physical shop, a bricks and mortar shop that you open up and close. Even if it's just an online business, what we're saying is that, look, it's all about putting in the effort now, so that momentum builds, so that even if something does happen like a lockdown, you know, that momentum is still building.
It's still there, isn't it? That's right. And also you're just building up a reserve, aren't you? You know, for money, if you start to work and the momentum comes in and you've got some cash starts coming in the door, you know, put some aside. Be wary of the fact that we are in really strange times, and we need to have we do need to have a cash reserve, some kind of cash cushion in case the whole thing happens again. Because I know so many businesses, and, you know, to be honest, even Great Copyworks we were caught in the cold a little bit when all of a sudden everything just came to a grinding halt, because it really had to smarten up our act totally to keep afloat.
I think everyone did, didn't they? I think at the beginning it was crazy. I can remember just clients phoning up saying, we can't pay you, we don't know if we have a business anymore.
Yeah.
It was just like, yeah, okay, I understand that, that's fine, but actually, you know, what am I going to do now? Yeah. And it was, you know, luckily is going to sound like Liam Neeson now in the Taken film, but it's like, luckily I have a particular set of skills.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't matter if, you know, that there's a lockdown or not, people still need to make money online and, you know, generate leads and run a business and stuff like that. So, you know, we're still able to carry on. But what happened is what I still see now is that people are not looking just for 6, 9, 12 months away. They are looking at, you know, the next month. And it's like where we have got to this stage now, it's important to look at both, because what we want to do now is we want to look at, okay, let's make sure we're on track for what we're planning to do in a year's time. You know, because no one can be on track to hit their goals from a year ago. You know, all the ups and downs that we've had.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, if you're still in business, you've done well, right? Pat yourself on the back, you know.
Right. Yeah.
But obviously this is that opportunity now to go, okay, in 12 months time, what do I want to get? Okay. And this is where we bring it back to the next third, really. This September, October, November it's all about making it count. It's all about getting back in the game and having that opportunity, you know, to go, right, okay, this is what I want moving forward. You know, not just picking up where you left off 18 months ago, or, you know, how you've been struggling throughout. It's going, what do I want now to move forward? You know, because you have all the options. That's the great thing that has come out of this pandemic, is it's opened up those channels, those possibilities. People are doing more of the Zoom kind of meetings, more working from home, you know, more of the kind of lifestyle business. And you have all those opportunities. It's just about making it work for you.
Absolutely. And I think also we got to also factor in that there is, once we can get some momentum going and start rolling, that this is also the coming up to the time of year when you do need to be planning your 2022 anyway. So why not take it into account and plan everything and just really make this one? And as I say, you know, finishing on a high is great, because you have momentum then and motivation when you start going into January, because January for a lot, again, can be a slow month while people get going. So it's really important to end this year and going into January and really making a good move. Because, you know, when January is quiet, some businesses who will maybe start slowly in January, if you hit the ground running, there is still a lot of business to be had in January.
I think there is that kind of way of, yeah, some businesses, their December is really busy and their January is quiet. And then you've got the ones which are the other way around. You know, and it's just exactly the same as with the likes of the summer. You know, as you might get the kind of like the seaside towns and stuff like that are really busy, and in the winter they're not. Is that kind of thing. But yeah, it's really important to go to know this about your business anyway, and just go, right, okay, when are the quieter months? Because for one, that you said, it's either looking at that cash reserve and going, we need to make sure we can get through, you know, or it's going, right, okay, what can we add in, or how can we adapt to make things work here in those quieter months? Because we can put, you know, a different kind of business model in, you know, a different offer in that actually picks up clients in that time.
That's right, in the dead times. And that's the whole point, isn't it? What we want to try and get rid of is that seasonal fluctuation. If you have a seasonal fluctuation, which has always been there for a lot of businesses, what is it that you can fill in those low times? What is it that you can put out there that will stop that happening? So what extra products for that particular period? The different types of products, different styles of products that or services that you offer, so that you don't have a quiet period. That's really what it comes down to, is trying to iron out everything. So you have your highs and you have your even highs, and we don't have any lows.
That is exactly. I mean, that is part of what we look at with any business, right? We look at, okay, look, where are the ups and downs? Because for one, we don't want there to be ups and downs. We actually want the ups to be downs. You know, we want that to be your new foundation.
Just a constant. You need a constant stream. I mean, just reading one of the things from my mentors over the weekend. It's the constant stream of not only getting but keeping customers. So you have a constant flow of income coming through your door, just as you would if you were working in the job. You'd have a regular paycheck. Now
we did that training back last week where we looked at optimizing your productivity. And what we're looking at there is a lot of it comes down to structure, and knowing what you're doing and stuff like that to achieve it. And it's the same with planning out for business. But what was really interesting there is we talked about reviewing, what you've been doing and stuff like that. And we basically said about win every day. But what we also said there is that, okay, don't beat yourself up if you don't win one day, because what one day isn't necessarily going to hurt. But what happens there is once you start losing days and you get to a week, and then you look at that kind of that rhythmic review of, okay, is everything moving along as it should? That week hasn't. All of a sudden it becomes an issue. And we've said a few times on this podcast, like for one of my kind of sayings is that, look, where you are in 90 days time is what you do today.
Absolutely.
It's building up. Right. And it is that thing as well. Look, the next 90 days, and even if you've got slightly more, if we're taking you to the end of the year, if you have a busy December, is that there can put your business in such an amazing place to start off in January. It can put you in a completely new place to where you are now.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, yeah, that's so true of retail. Yeah, and retail business. I used to have an Amazon business ages ago, and yeah, December it is absolutely manic. But what happened was you just kind of like burnt out in January. And so what, for people who have things like that, Amazon business or a product-based business which picks up in December, it's then thinking, right, what can we offer in January that's going to fill the gap when people maybe are not spending because they think they've spent everything. So maybe there's something else that can go there. So and how can you stop being burnt out? So if you have a really busy December, what is it that you can do to yourself that stops you going into January feeling really burnt out and that you've had it, not had enough, but you just need a rest. So what is it, from an energy point of view, how can we help ourselves?
I think that's such an important part to touch on there. I think the whole kind of entrepreneur kind of type and the whole kind of hustle and grind mentality, it's kind of put onto to be working hard all the time. Going back to that productivity training that we talked about. We actually talked about doing more in less time.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, if you can do more in less time, then it frees you up to actually do the things that you want to do.
Yeah.
And go off and do those things. But just that whole thing of taking, just stock taking yourself, really. Just having that time to go, right, okay, look, what's going on? There's a great kind of picture that shows this as well, where it shows your mobile phone battery on like the red, and it's just like, if you got to this point, you're running around frantically to find a charger.
Yeah.
If you're like this in your life, you're trying to just carry on and do more. And it's like sometimes you do need to recharge, and I think knowing when to step away is something that you learn, and I think a lot of it as well is that the curse of the kind of sole trader or the busy business that, things can't run without them, so they have to be doing everything.
And that that's a completely different story, and we talked about that, didn't we, about delegation and the fact that you can't do everything. You just, even when you're a sole trader, you cannot do everything yourself, and don't even think you can do everything yourself, because you'll trip yourselves up. And it's interesting how many sole traders, people who work on their own, that I've spoken to over the years, that said, things really started to change when I had a VA or I had an assistant or I delegated something. And you say, that happens for a reason, because it allows you to stand back and think, well, I could be doing something else here. And for a lot of people, isn't it? I know budget, they think, they have this, the fateful 4 words, I can't afford it. And you think, but you can't afford not to. Sometimes you actually have to bite the bullet and trust that if I do this, I'm going to raise my productivity. Because I raised my own productivity in producing, in marketing and sales, then it means that you've got more chance of business coming in, rather than carrying on trying to wade through all your emails or doing your bookkeeping or doing something that is admin based and probably non-productive.
I think, Joe, a lot of marketing falls into that category, right? Is I think that you get a lot of people who they do all their marketing themselves, right? And to a certain stage, quite rightly so. They are the expert, they have the knowledge, but they get caught up in all the kind of admin side of marketing.
Yeah, that's right.
And it becomes a chore, and then they stop doing it. And then also, as well, as there's that kind of middle area where they don't actually know if what they're doing is what they should be doing. They just seem to do it because they know they have to do something. And I can remember the amount of conversations I've had where, you're talking to people and they say, we're already doing this, or we're already spending money on marketing and stuff like that. We can't afford to spend any more. And it's just like, the whole point is that, look, you're looking to spend a little bit more to make sure that what you do is right. Because if you haven't got the money all the time to make sure your marketing is working for you, then you definitely don't have the time and money to make sure it's not working for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. It's like the amount of people that would just carry on and on. And it's just like, and again, it's hard sometimes when you're on the outside and you can see all the mistakes that they're making. Actually you can see the opportunities that are there that they can just, change to. And you're trying to kind of explain it to them. And they're just like, we're too busy doing this. It's like that picture, that picture where it's like someone's pushing along like a cart, and it's got the square wheels.
Square wheels, yeah.
It's got the circle ones, you know, and they're just like, you know, they're holding it up, saying, "Look, you know, you need some help." And they're like, "We're too busy. We can't stop right now. We're too busy."
And you know, this is the thing about a lot of people where I think they go wrong, and it just sometimes it's just in the language, and they talk about marketing spend. You know, you don't spend. You kind of invest it. I know people say marketing investment, and people use that word for such a long time, and without really thinking about it. But spending means you'll never see that money again. So if I've got, I don't know, £1,000 to spend on marketing, I'm just using that logic. Using that word spend gets your mind into thinking, I've got £1,000, it's gone. But you haven't. It's not gone. It's a return. You've got £1,000. You're going to now make into £4,000, because the whole idea of your marketing is, if you spend £1,000 on marketing, it has to give you a return. Because if it's not giving you a return, then there's something wrong with your marketing. And just throwing money at marketing doesn't help either. You have to be canny about what you're doing. But if you are using that £1,000 and investing it, the whole point of an investment is an asset. So if you're investing into something, you're expecting that asset to work for you many times over. So a piece of marketing, a piece of campaign, or whatever that it maybe has cost you, has appeared to have cost you £1,000, actually been invested, and you're looking to make 4 or 5 times that money back. So why wouldn't you spend £1,000? Or spend? Why wouldn't you invest £1,000 every month if you're going to get £5,000? I would then say, well, why don't I spend £10,000? Why don't I put £10,000 into that machine?
That is the whole.
Going to get 5 times return.
Yeah, I mean that's the whole point of building out the system, isn't it? To make sure that you can do that. I think for anyone listening who has listened to a few episodes of this podcast, they would have heard me say that in marketing, there's so many different terms and phrases and stuff like that have been used over the years that have become diluted. And opportunity and investing is definitely, two of those. Is that anyone within marketing is like, oh, this is a great opportunity for you, or this is the opportunity you have by using this product or service, whatever it is, and the investment today, or you're investing in this, and it's tough to say, but probably 7 out of 10 times, it's never going to work for you anyway. Even if everything works as it should do with this kind of thing, it's not going to work for you because it's not, supporting the rest of your business, or the rest of your business isn't supporting it. And the whole point there is that you have to make sure what is right for you and what you need and what you need to invest in. And it's just exactly the same as, a business who is looking at, okay, can we invest in this machinery to build or develop a part of this product or service that we offer? Okay, let's look at the return on that investment over the next kind of 3 years or whatever it is. It's not just, okay, if we buy this machine today, where's our money tomorrow? But I think a lot of people look at marketing that way, and I think and again, we said it before, it comes back to some of the terminology used within the sector of get rich quick and certain schemes and all this in a weekend and all that kind of stuff.
And one of the things that again, mindset thing, the whole thing that I'm into in a big way, it's the fact that money is always there. Money is something that is always circulated. So what you invest, what you circulate, you will get back in circulation. It's kind of like the whole law of the thing. There is money for you to invest, to circulate, and you will get money back because you're keeping the money flow going. If you don't keep money flowing, then it isn't going to flow back to you. It's just that's the whole premise around kind of the prosperity. The idea of prosperity is you're always circulating it. So if you need to invest in a piece of kit for your fulfillment, or if you need to invest in a campaign for Facebook ads, or if you need to invest in whatever it is, a campaign for this or that, and you've got to make sure it's the right thing. Obviously, you're not just chucking the money away. Because then it may not return back to you. But if you're investing in the right thing and see it as an asset, the definition of an asset is that it's a piece of something, whether it's online or offline, that makes you money time and time and time again. And that's why people talk about sweating the asset.
Yeah, mate, I think assets is a great word, to really sort of highlight within this episode now. I know that that's what we do a lot when we work with a business, is just like, right, okay, look, where are the assets? And when we talk about assets, we are talking more about the income producing assets.
Yeah, that's right.
So where is that? So whether it's from lead generation, conversion, lifetime value, where are those, where are those assets within there? And I think a great way that I like to put it with marketing is, I think a lot of people, when it comes to marketing, they play the fruit machine, or like the one-armed bandit. And what they're doing is they're putting a pound in or a dollar in, and they're hitting the button, and they just keep repeating that, all over it. And what they've got the big kind of jackpot up there, $1 million or whatever it is, that they're trying to get. But what happens is, they might get a bit of luck, and they might get $10 come out, or they might get $50 come out, or whatever it is. And then they slowly keep putting it back into the machine. But it's that, like you said, there's no asset there. You're just gambling. You're just hoping, you're just doing that whole kind of, okay, look, I'm just pressing the fruit machine all the time. Whereas if you looked at it as, okay, look, you're putting your money in buying a fruit tree, right, like an orange tree, and then you're spending your kind of efforts then, and possibly your funds as well, in nurturing that tree and growing that tree. The fruit doesn't come the next day, but you're building that fruit up that, within the next kind of year or couple of years, whatever it is, that tree starts to bear fruit, and that then bears fruit for years to come. And we're not talking that, your marketing is going to take you, take a year or two or whatever it is for it to work. It can work quite quickly. But the whole point there is, what should happen is it continues to work for you and continues to produce things for you. Whereas a lot of it is, this is part of my problem, where the whole kind of marketing industry, where people are telling you what you need. And it's like, you need this, you need that. And I think ads are, a big part of this, where, you've got like Google ads and Facebook ads, and it's like, right, okay, you need this, you need that. But the problem is, when you stop paying, the leads stop coming. You're not building out your own lead generation system, your sustainable acquisition system. You're not building that. You're just paying someone else to drive traffic to you. And within that time, if, we've discussed it a couple of times on the podcast as well with Facebook ads, is that it takes time to learn. As in the actual Facebook interface, and the algorithm there, it takes time to learn who they need to be showing your ad to for it to get a conversion. Exactly. So you can run out of money quite quick. Before, you actually start to bear that fruit.
Yes, it's not that magic pill, is it? Oh, I'm just going to run some Facebook ads. And, and it's interesting, not only I just use Facebook ads for a moment, just as an analogy, but Google ads are the same. Once Facebook ads get to start understanding your audience, your target market, and putting the adverts in front of the right people, they still need to be attractive ads. So they attractive as in, I do mean not lots of pictures and everything. Well, that may be the case, but actually attractive ads. So the copy needs to be good, because the amount of ads that you see on Facebook, probably many times a day, that you just skip past. Because either you're not the right target market, so they've got their targeting wrong, or if you are the right target market, you may not be quite ready to buy. But even then, you would still look at the ad because it could be of interest to you at some point. Or it's written so badly that what's all that rubbish? You just pass. And
that's the thing, isn't it? There's a great story, actually, a couple of years ago. There's a guy called Nick James. He runs Expert Empires. I guess he's one of our peers, and I've learned stuff from him over the years. I think some of his stuff is fantastic, and he puts on these like big shows each year and stuff like that. And a couple of years ago, he had Grant Cardone come over from the States to do a speech, and he's had some pretty big hitters. He's had like Gary Vaynerchuk. He's got Ed Milet coming over this month and stuff like that. But I can remember a story that he was saying that they booked Grant Cardone, however much money it cost for him to come over, to do this show. They started running ads and stuff like that to fill the show. He said they were running ads for quite a long time and no one was purchasing.
Right.
He said they basically had, he was going through it, and they had pictures of Grant Cardone just like by himself. There are pictures of him with money. There are pictures of him with his jets and all this kind of stuff. And then they ran one picture of him just sat on his own in the gym. And that picture, that ad is what converted the best out of all of them. And it's like, there's no one that would sit down and go, right, okay, let's look at this ad. What's the best way to put this ad together? Right, okay, we've got the copy spot on. We need a picture now. No one would go, oh, let's just get a picture of the guy in the gym on his own. Let's, you know, the guy's got his private jet. He's got 50 million whatever properties. You know, he's got all this cash and these businesses. No one would go, let's get a picture of him in the gym. You know, but you have to have that clarity on, okay, something isn't working. We need to change something. We need to have that confidence to go with, okay, look, we need to come up with ideas to change this, and that courage to go. We need to think outside the box here, you know, and actually do something different.
And interesting, isn't it? How and I know that in the States, a lot of the ads are full of this stuff, and they come to the Facebook as well. But for the average Joe in the States, probably, and for people here, when you see pictures of $1 million or £1 million jets and cars and stuff, it's beyond people. It's beyond people's believing they can get there. You know, they just don't believe that. So when you do show something that's far more personal, people think, "Oh, right, okay, I can relate to this." But when you see Grant Cardone, as I've seen a lot of adverts where he's on his multi-million-dollar private jets and stuff, you just think, and you talk about thinking big. Oh, you need to think big. You need to do this. But most people won't think of that and think, "Oh, I can have that." And so therefore, the message has to be at a level that people can get to. Or I'm the wrong audience, which again is coming down to targeting. Maybe that he's targeting people who have a certain quite wealthy lifestyle, but just want to step up, as opposed to somebody who either doesn't want that particular. I'm not really interested in flying around in multi-million-dollar private jets, to be honest. So it's either the people who don't want it, or he's marketing to people that just can't see it, and there is a huge problem because it's not going to get any traction with anybody because they can't believe they can be there.
Like you said as well, I think, do you know what, thinking big is not the issue here. You know, it's like, would we want that? You know, probably 9 out of 10 people would say, yeah, of course they would want it.
Yeah.
But actually, realistically, are they looking to achieve that?
No, I don't think so.
Are they looking to, achieve a fraction? Yeah. So if we get something which is relatable, then, like you said, it makes much more sense. What I think was the issue there, if I'm totally honest, is that the UK audience just responds differently to the American audience.
Absolutely. And again, that's where you've got to target your audience with the right message. So what works in the US doesn't work in the UK. What works in the UK probably doesn't work in, say, Germany or France. Mm-hmm. And even I think Australia's audience probably is closer to the US audience than it is to the UK audience. So all these places have got totally, you've got to understand the culture, the way they think and everything. You can't just plonk an ad out and say, "Oh, this copy looks really, really good. Let's send it, I'll put an advert in, for the US and I'll do this." You've got to understand that your target market, this comes back to where we've been, we talked many, many times, isn't it? Not so much who is your niche, but I suppose it is part of who is your niche for that particular service. What is your target market? How do they think? This is the big thing, How do they think? Where do they come from? We don't ask these questions for fun of it. Where do they come from? Where are they in life at the moment? Do they have a family, or are they single? Do they like trips abroad? Because then you can start putting in thinking about holidays. If they're not interested in trips abroad, don't start posting ads with luxury holidays and stuff, because again, they're not interested. So you've got to get into the mind of your perfect client, if you like, for that particular service, not your business. Yeah. And the best way to do that really is, instead of making it up, is think, well, who do I love working with? What client have I got that I love working with now? And then say, right, I'm going to make that person my perfect client until I get somebody better. And that's how you start building. You say, right, I want to work with more people like that. And that becomes so more realistic than making up something in your head, really.
I mean, that's the problem, isn't it? I mean, we had that conversation briefly when we talked about niching. So about the issue with people forcing you to niche and stuff like that. And yeah, I think that the avatar is one of those words that has just been diluted over time, because a lot of the teaching out there is just make believe. You know, just come up with who you want to work with, who's your ideal customer, you know, what's their name, what do they do, and all this kind of stuff. And it comes down to thinking of one person, you know, that you would like to work with, and you know, that there is who you should go after. And it's just like, it's total rubbish. It's just like, it's never going to get you what you need. It's like, but like you said, okay, look, you have a product or a service, it serves a particular need. Yeah. Okay, look, who is looking to solve that need, and who have you already helped as well? Like, where can you prove that it helps them? The easiest way.
That's the thing. You see, you've got to, because every level you go up, you've got to have your credibility for those people in that level. Now, if you've been working with really successfully, you might have been working with people like micro businesses, really, really successful. If you want to step up to SMEs and you want credibility in the SME place, or medium-sized businesses, and they see you've only worked with micro businesses, it could be a bit of an issue, because they're going to think, that person in their mindset can't see you working with them. So, and going back to their avatar and stuff, you might have 3 or 4 clients that you love working with. So take the best points of each one. So you might have somebody you really love working with, but they don't pay very well, or they're slow at paying. So you want, okay, I love this kind of person, love working with them, but I want someone who will pay me on time, or even pay me ahead of time, because that's how everybody would love to work, because they're going to get a cash flow. So your avatar can be a kind of a patchwork quilt of these different people that you love working with. But you've got to remember, if you want to take a huge jump to a different level of business, unless you have credibility, and however you can create that, but unless you have credibility and authority that you can show people that you've done that, or that this is the kind of problems you've solved and they have the same, then you're not going to get that. And I fall into that trap a long time ago, with going after a market where I had no credibility, and guess what, I never got any business. So and lowering your expectations is not anything wrong with giving up. Oh, I'm lowering my expectations. People say, oh well, then you're going to fail at business. No, you're not. You're temporarily lowering your expectations to get more business, to get more testimonials, to get more proof that, of concept that that what you do really does work, or what you sell really does work, so that you then can step up a level, because you have that credibility that has started with customers who may be pushing up the envelope and going into SMEs from micro businesses, and then you'll start getting more attention.
Exactly that. I think there's a massive area that gets missed a lot, and it's because of ego. And what happens there is, the easiest way to move up a level, or to move into a new field, or whatever it is, right, is to offer your services for free. And that whole kind of word there hurts a lot of people, right? Because they're like, I'm worth this amount of money, people paying you this and everything. And it's like, they do, but if you want to make, a massive statement, then do it this way, right? And this is the reason for why, is that, and this is great as well, is if you're working in a job and you're looking to, start your own business, or a side hustle, something like that, do this first, and you never lack customers. And what you want to do is go and do that service for your ideal target market. Do it for free, or for covering your costs, or a low amount, or whatever it is. Document everything that you're doing, right? The outcome and everything like that. Get an amazing testimonial, case study at the end of it. You've got that then, and then you just go to the next customer and you say, this is what I did for so-and-so. Do you want me to do it for you? It's X amount of thousands of pounds or dollars. Once they see the results, they're going to be like, yes. And even if they say no, the next 1 or 2 will say yes. Because once you can show that you have proved the outcome, people will want it. I think that's such a massive gap that people miss, is that you could be the most skilled person, you could offer a great price. People need your services, but they don't believe that you can fulfill it. So by showing them that, you cover off that area.
Yeah.
All of a sudden you show that proof. Yeah, I can do it. Here's the proof that I've done it. Well, if you've just made X amount of money here, why would someone tell you that?
And that's why case studies and testimonials are so important. And if it, as you said, if it means that you do things for free or for low cost to get them, then that's still an investment. So what you're doing is you're okay. So say I wanted to be paid £100 an hour or £200 or whatever. Yeah, it doesn't matter what the amount is. And by doing something for free, or say for £10 an hour, I'm investing so for example, if I was working £500, I thought, right, £500 an hour is what I want to charge. I'm going to do something for £20 an hour. So what you're doing in effect is you're investing £480 into doing something. So it's kind of marketing to get the testimonials that you need so you can start charging £500 an hour. Because you also have to remember that the testimonials from the customers you work with, the next customer doesn't know that you did that for free or for low cost. They'll never know the charge. They just say, hey, I work with another person. This is my daily rate. This is the outcome we got. We did all this, we did it. And to get me, this is what it costs. And as you said, all of a sudden they start thinking, wow, that's a brilliant outcome. That's something I could really use. And then they start paying the amount that you've decided you're worth. But if you just go to the market and say, well, this is me, without any kind of social proof, there's no credibility. And that is such a huge thing you have to build. You have to be credible. And I never understood that there's many businesses where I started in the past. I never understood the need, or not, yeah, it is the need. The need that people must be able to see that you're credible, must have at least some belief in the fact that, yeah, you can do that.
Totally.
And if that's not there, they won't even bite.
Unfortunately, as well, mate. I mean, even for myself, like personal story here was that kind of transition that I made into the sporting world. Is that I knew quite a bit about sport. So I thought anyway, the business of sport. I knew that my skills were transferable. So whether we're working with a business or an individual who has an authority within the business world, or moving that to an athlete, it's still the same thing. If anything, it's easier, right? But moving into that arena, I had to do some groundwork to make sure that I could make things work and how it could happen. And yeah, I can remember working with a boxer, and it was a professional boxer, and it was just like, look, you have no money to pay me, or you're reluctant to pay me right now. I'm going to do what I need to do, but I want to take a commission out of, X, Y, and Z, yeah, okay, that's fine. So it was just kind of like you're working on your own merits there. But as soon as I got the results for him, there was never two boxers that said, can you do this for me? And then it moved into the boxers who were further away asking it, and then it moved into football, cricket. I can't even think the other sports that we deal with now, but there's a whole bunch of sports that we started dealing with.
Yeah.
Just because of that one, that it was like, okay, look, let's work for free, to figure out, for one, if we can do this, but for two, if it's right for us, because what would happen if we started working out and it was just like, you know what, this is a head doer, we don't want to work in this industry anymore.
Yeah, that's
right.
We
haven't gone all in going, this is what we do. We've dipped our toe in the water to see if one would like it, and two, we can do it.
Yeah, exactly. There's all sorts of, and the first time you did, I'm sure you had processed thinking, I could do that slightly differently. That didn't work really well. So you can start to then have a product or service that you can start going back to the thing we talked about. I think it was one of our trainings last week, wasn't it? The PDSA. You plan, you could do it, and then you check what the results were, and you think, right, I need to tweak it a little bit before you then can put it into action and deliver it all over again. And that's going back to that momentum spiral.
Like you said in that training as well. Checking. The training as well, you said about the MVP, wasn't it? Like the minimum viable product.
Yeah.
And it's like, working with that first boxer, mate. I mean, the way how we did things, the kind of service or product that we offered, then changed.
Of course, because
it was a completely different offering.
There's a great analogy, isn't there? And I know it's been bandied around quite a few times, but I know it's in the Slight Edge, Jeff Olson, but I think it's in other books as well. That the moonshot that landed on the moon was on target something ridiculous, like about 18% of its journey. All the rest of the time, NASA were making adjustments.
Yeah.
It was going up. They were making slight adjustments here, slight adjustments there, and it was. I think it could have even been less than 18%. It's really unbelievable. You think, how could it possibly have hit the orbit of the moon at the right place, so that it orbited in the right place, so they could then land on the moon? And it was just, there always were adjustments being made, and that's the same with any kind of business. If you shoot for the moon, you're never going to get there from the plan or the way, or your first product. It's never going to work. You've got to be constantly adjusting it, changing it, making it better, improving it, so that it's going to be wobbling its way all the way up. It's not going to go straight. And unless you're prepared to be checking all the time that wobble, if you didn't, I mean, for example, if they hadn't checked the space launch, and they hadn't made those adjustments, it would have never reached the moon. It would have ended up, I don't know, burning up, but disappearing into space somewhere. So it's kind of like, you've got to be always checking. It's so important to do that.
It's so true. I think that I've heard that kind of analogy there in so many different forms. And I think, you talk about the slight edge, I talk about the compound effect. And it's like, those two books are basically saying the same thing in different wording, right? Because I think in that book, it talks about if two airplanes leave from the same,
that's right,
the same airport, and they're heading to the same direction, but one is 1 degree off course, it ends up completely somewhere else, and it is crazy. And the whole point there is we look at the destination, so whether it is look, a year's time, whether it is look, the next 4 months, the next quarter, if you want to call it that, you need to look at what you're trying to achieve. Because if and it comes back, it always comes back to 3 things, right? And it's like having something to sell, having somewhere to sell from, and having someone to sell to. You get those things right as a basic, as your foundations, then you get to build on top of that. But I think there's those things there are what a lot of people miss within marketing and business. Is that, 1, we have the destination, 2, we have the foundations of knowing what you're selling, know who you're selling to, and where you're selling from. And we're talking about processes there of not just having like a stall or something like that. We're talking about how people come in to buy from you, and then just that checking along the way, that adjustments, just looking at, okay, where it needs to change. And I guess the big ever part of that as well is just actually taking action and doing things. Start with, right? I think that those things there, I think if you get those right, that you're going to have a great next 3 months.
That's right. I think so, because definitely, because once you have that right, and knowing who to sell to, and this is so important as well. It's not just knowing who to sell to encompasses, do they want it? No, so knowing who to sell to, like you said, is there's lots of questions to be asked there. Okay, where are this audience? How big is that audience? Do they want my product? Is that something that will really meet their challenges and fix their problems? And have they shown that? Have they, do a bit of research, and when they're writing blogs or something, is it something they're saying is a problem for them? So that's all, that knowing who to sell to is that whole thing. It's not just looking at that group. And I think that's a problem, is so many people put together products and say, this is fantastic, look at this is what I've built, this is superb, everyone's going to want this, and nothing happens.
I mean, how many times have we received that phone call or that message, and it's like, I've got this amazing product, this amazing service, but no one's buying it. And you're just like, okay, let's have a look at it. Let's see where it is so amazing then, and stuff like that. And some, don't get me wrong, sometimes it really is good. It's just that front end of them. It's that whole kind of build it and they shall come mentality of, this is how great I am, I've put this together, everyone should be buying this, why is no one buying it? And all it is, you hit the nail on the head there, mate, is that kind of, we discussed it in a podcast two podcasts ago, I think, where we said about that pyramid of awareness, where not everyone is aware of the problem and the solution. So you're trying to say to them, come here and buy this, they don't even know they need it. And it's like, why would they even want it?
And if you remember back in the days, I remember this vividly back in the, oh God, it was a while back now. You get accosted, wouldn't you? When you were in Bristol, you used to get accosted. And I'm sure this is in every other major city in the world, let alone just England. You get accosted by people with their little questionnaires and their clipboards doing the market research. And guess what? We still need to do market research, but so many people don't. And it's all nearly always a questionnaire. Do you have this challenge? Does this happen to you? How does this go on? Have you got 5 minutes just to answer some questions? And that's how we start, even on social media. I'd love to know more about your business. Would you mind if I? And you always ask, kind of not apologetically, but you always say to them, look, I know you really would take out your time, but I'd love you if you could answer just a few questions for me. And that's the start of a relationship. If you can do that, and when you make people, so when I remember when I used to walk down the street and someone said to me, they had a clipboard, you think, oh God, I've got to avoid this person. And some would sort of run after you and all, and you kind of like run away. But some would say, "Could you? Could you help me out? I would really love you if you could. You could really help me if you could answer some questions." All of a sudden, you're being asked for help. People love giving help, and when you're asked to give help, you think, I guess I could have got 5 minutes. But if you just go after them, they're not going to. Say they're not going to comply or help you out. But just asking them, I'd really, really love your help. Could you possibly? Not everyone will say yes, of course they won't, but some will. They'll say, I've got a bit of time in my schedule, so ask away. And that is market research. Ask the questions that you need to know whether your product is required or not.
I totally agree. I think again, though, what has happened over the years is that dilution. Totally. And people they've used that tactic in a sneaky way. Now, there's a difference between questionnaire to find out what is a good fit for you, and market research. Now, what happens is there's a tactic, and this comes from the business coaching world. I'm just gonna be blunt and say it because I've seen it so many times. Is that they teach you to do a survey, which is for research, right? And the whole point there is for you then to get that person's details and go, oh, you said you wanted this. I can help you with this. It's X amount of money. And that is part of the big problem. And that's why now when people get the email through or they get the message saying, can you just do this survey? They're just like, what's the upsell coming at the end?
Exactly.
Whereas, if it's look, someone's interested, I mean, look, we've got a form on our website where it's just like, look, if you need some help, if you're interested, look, fill out this questionnaire, and look, we'll see which product is a great fit for you. We'll jump on a call, we'll discuss it. That's different than saying. That's different.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, we're doing some market research for a new product. What would you find, your struggles right now? It's totally different. But what happens is, I think that kind of business coaching world has tried to combine it as a quick win tactic.
It's been abused, like many things. It's been abused, but but when it's genuinely done, and
when it's done, it's amazing. Totally.
It's really done with that great sort of attitude in mind. And I think that comes across as well when you ask people, if you've genuinely got an attitude of you want to help them in the long run, but you just need to find out what challenges those kind of people have, but you're not trying to sell them anything at this point, then I think that comes across. But it's I think it's when you get that phone call, excuse me,
the LinkedIn message as well.
The LinkedIn message. I wonder if you could just answer these questions for me. And
there's or just how you doing, that kind of thing. You get those messages through, and it's just like, you just connected with someone. You get the message through, and it's like, hi, how are you? And you're like, yeah, I'm good. How about yourself? Yeah, I'm good. What are you struggling with the most at the minute in your sales process? And you're just like, what?
What's all that about? Yeah.
And then it's like they're just, and then you don't answer or something like that. The next message comes through like, we help successful entrepreneurs with, and it's like all of a sudden you're like, so you didn't. So that first question where you said, hi, how are you? You didn't even care. You didn't even want to know, did you? You just wanted to jump straight in, to basically selling your product rather than having a conversation to see if, we were right. But obviously, mate, we went through all that on the last podcast as well. But I think what we'll look to do is wrap this one up today. Just with a few things, mate. But before we go with a kind of summary, I'm just gonna basically go back to something you said as well, where you said about you had an Amazon business.
Yeah.
I can remember years back as well. I was doing a lot of stuff on eBay, and I had an information product on eBay which was all about buying and selling cars. And there's so many stories I could tell about that. It was, that was a great learning curve for me. But one of the things that just opened my eyes, and I was just like, how is this even possible? I sold the most units or the most copies of that information product on Christmas Day. In what world would you think to yourself, like, on Christmas Day, people are going to go to eBay and they're going to buy an information guide about buying and selling cars?
Yeah, incredible.
You can't make these things up, right?
No.
It's just, and that's just something you never know until you get the data there. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the whole point, is just constantly check data, check course correction, all the rest of it. Yeah, interesting. That's interesting, because people would never have thought Christmas Day was a.
But that's one of the things that I was meaning to say about with, we touched on. Yeah, okay, look, summer months can be quiet. December and January can be quiet. But actually, there are buyers out there. You just have to put the right thing in front of them.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's what we have to recognize and stop. It's a limiting belief, isn't it? Mm-hmm. When we say, "Oh well, December's going to be quiet," well, guess what? It probably will, because what you'll do is you'll stop doing anything, and you'll just reaffirm the fact it's quiet because you haven't done anything to change that. But if you put your marketing out in December, you might find it's a fantastic month for you.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about doing the next kind of 4 months, next 3 months, right? Making it count. But in theory, you should have started back before the summer when we were telling you back then. But when was the best time to plant a tree? 1,000 years ago? When's the next best time? Today. I mean, that's what we need to look at. Okay, so September, make it count. October, November, you'll get the fruits from that.
Yeah,
and just make the rest of the year count, and then it puts you in a new position to start in January. Exactly. And as always, we need some help with that. Like we said, we've got the form on the website. I'll fill it out. Let's see if we can help you. Mate, do a quick little plug for us as well. I mean, look, we're on all the social media platforms. We've got the podcast, we've got the YouTube channel as well, we've got the website. Look, support us. Where can you give us a follow or a like or anything like that? And if there's anything you want us to discuss on the podcast, then get in touch. Let's get some of the topics that you want to be discussed on there as well.
Absolutely, we're always willing to help. Definitely,
exactly that. I mean, that's the big thing, isn't it? Anything else you want to summarize this one up with? I know we talked about the next 4 months, making them count.
Yeah, I think that's it. But as you said about when's the best time, if you haven't planted a tree a few years back, when's the best time to start now? To do it now is today. Start today, because just think, if you start today, you might learn something over the next week that you hadn't even thought of, and think, I can put that into. I can then change products, and I can make those course adjustments. But if you don't start, if not write it off, but if you aren't really, really positive about how much you can really inject into your business in this last third, then it's you're going to miss a big trick.
I think there's a great point there, mate, isn't it? Is that, look, we're saying, look, get stuck in now, make it count.
Yeah.
Because I think the danger is there with some people is they go, it's only 3 months left of the year, I'll start in January.
Yeah.
And in January, you start from scratch again. It's going to be hard. It's going to be quiet.
It will be.
Like that. And then, February, March, you might get some luck. Whereas if you put the hard work in now, that's just going to continue for.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Whatever you're thinking about doing, do it today.
Do it today.
That's as simple as that, isn't it?
Yeah.
What happens tomorrow starts with what you do today.
Yeah. Absolutely.
We'll end on that note, and
indeed,
we'll next time.
Okay,
Mark, it's always been a pleasure. I'll see you then.
Indeed. Yeah.
Bye.